amongst fellow Nigerians. It's a lot of problem. And one of the things that democracy gives us as an opportunity is that it throws us the chance to choose our leaders, the people that preside over us, the people that governs us, the people that legislate on our behalf. And in most cases, we're often beclouded by our sentiments, sometimes religious, or sometimes political, sometimes tribal. And then we make our political choices based on what we think is right and what is not what is necessarily right. They would always tell you that intents are relative. What I think is right may not be exactly right. One of the key words I held on to in the last election was the fact that they would say politics and political choices and elections have consequences. We are facing the consequences right now. The government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made some far-reaching decisions and policies. The fuel subsidy is biting really tough. Exchange rate is going out of the ordinary. I mean, it's way uncontrollable. The price of commodities in the market are really unaffordable to Nigerians. Just look at insecurity is very much on everyone's faces. And this is where we'll start the conversation today. I'll be asking Mr. Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ, the chief political editor of Guardian newspaper, prior to the 2015 election, specifically before the primaries of the All Progressive Congress that had the former vice president or the immediate past vice president, Professor Yᴏɪᴜᴛᴜ, the present president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the former minister of transport, Rotimi Amechi, the former governor of Ekiti State, that's John Kayode Fayemi, and even the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Governor Yahaya Bello, and a host of other people went into that contest at the parade ground in Abuja. That's the primaries of the APC. And right on the podium that night, in ones, in twos, in threes, they were stepping down for the now president that was then just an aspirant on the platform of the APC. And one of the things that was sold to us in the build up to that election was the conversation around renewed hope. The budget of Mr. President for 2024 was also tagged the budget of renewed hope. The policy document that was released as a guiding principle to his operations in the build up to the election was also termed the renewed hope. We've seen all of this conversation. But Mr. Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ, on the 29th of May 2023, at the point where the president was being sworn in, his first official statement was to announce the official removal of the subsidy. And immediately, in less than 3, 4, 5 minutes, the prices of petroleum products went high up the moon, 420 naira per litre, and move down to where we are right now. It depends on what part of the country you stay. If you stay in Lagos, you can be lucky to get it for maybe 605, 618, 620. If you stay in other part of the country, you can get it as high as 670, 680. Mr. Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ, the last 9 months, by the way, happy new month. It's a new month, so we flip the conversation again. But between the 29th of May and the 31st of January, which was yesterday, and today the 1st of February, we've had the naira move from about maybe 470 to almost 1,600 naira. Yesterday night, a colleague and I, went somewhere in Ikeja just to pick some, spiced meat late in the night. And the guys changing dollars there came to me and said, "Oh, we can sell to you at 1,480 naira to a dollar, 1,670 naira to a pound." And I told my colleague Wale Adigun, I said, where exactly are we going to? There was a time in this country where I changed $100 for 12,300. That was when a dollar was 123 naira to a dollar. Mr. Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ, what is hopeful in this administration? Let's start from here.
Good evening, our listeners. And once again, I wish you a happy new month. By and large, well, I think assessing the president the last 9 months, anybody's guess is as good as mine, because we operate the same market, we live in the same environment, where things are getting too precarious that sadly you see people sleeping with their 2 eyes closed. And even if you live in a remotest part of the country where it used to be safe, I think they become kidnappers then, here and there. It's quite unfortunate. I think the best I can just say is that the government, I think the first priority of the government which I think they had been executing since May last year, is how to make the government purse bloated, to make more money for the government. And they have been making so much money for the government, and to the extent that even Nigerians that are paying this money, it's not that they are plucking this money from any tree, but tightening, I think, every area where I think Nigerians have been getting a succor here and there. So as it is now, government is making more money, much money, I think, right from June. And if they are making such money, we know that what you don't have, you cannot spend or give. Begin to ask questions. That for the much money from making for the dirty games, how much of this money have you spent to secure lives and property of Nigerians, which of course is the first assignment
of the government,
responsibility of the government. So the government main responsibility is to secure life and property of the citizens. So if you are making so much money from Nigerians, from Nigerian resources, we are paying more in every service, then what are you spending this money on? Let me shock you. Up till now, we still have 371,800,000 police in Nigeria guarding over 250 million Nigerians. I dispute that one. And these 371,800 officers have gone for the VIPs. So the number of police guiding all the over 200 million Nigerians, they are less than 100,000. Because you see a senator having 4 or 5 police, not only following him, his house in Abuja, we have a police, his house in Lagos or in the hometown, we have even in a constituency village, in a farm where he has not been for the past 2-3 years, he has a police guiding it. So all these VIPs have had more than half allotted to them. So now police guiding Nigerians, you see everywhere, they are less than 100,000, if I think I'm guessing right. But be as it may, what stops Nigeria now, the president, to spend more on technology? If we are making this money, so the government of Nigeria cannot pretend that there's no money. There is money. So if there is money, what are you spending it on? That's where I always say that Nigerians must be ready to play their responsibility by making sure they keep the government accountable and keep them on their toes. Unless this money, I'm afraid, if you don't grow wings and find itself in Swiss accounts and somewhere else. There is money for government to spend on security. There's money now for government to spend on technology. There's money for government to spend on gathering information. Intelligence, it has been our major problem. But we have more money now to recruit, to secure more people. Let me shock you again. Instead of some Nigerians, even police, to look into recruiting capable people with people with integrity into the Nigerian police force, they are not talking of repentant bandits and Boko Haram, and they're recruiting them as in the constabulary police. They're kind of a voluntary. Somebody that's hungry. You understand? You are not giving him ammunition and a uniform without salary. And the guy has ammunition. That's what they call constabulary. They are using now. So it's like a kind of NGOs, like a volunteers to help the police, and we begin to see that everywhere. One of those people employed in that, celebrated in Kano, went back to his old trade. And many of them, with our investigation, have become informants because they've been able to penetrate into the security network. They know the operation, so they are not informants to their colleagues. I think it's still in the trenches, so they know when the police will move, when the police will not move. Do you get my point now? So these are things that are compromising security in Nigeria. So what I don't know. We have a lot of able young boys and girls looking for job. that we cannot employ them to Nigerian police force. We are talking of 371,800 officers in the country of over 220-30 million, with vast land as we have in Nigeria. I think Nigeria alone is more than put all West Africa together. Nigerian land alone takes over all those areas. So what I'm saying is that if Tinubu is making much money now, at least making people to, at least is killing Nigeria to make this money, he should spend this money at least on enhancing security. As far as we are concerned, the government is failing. The government is failing in the area of security. The government is failing in the area of taking care of the welfare of Nigerians. The government is failing even in executing some of their promises. So the renewed hope has now become renewed poverty. So there's poverty everywhere. So I think, but me, as I used to say, let Nigerians play their role to keep the government on their toes.
Okay, now I'm going to break it into two. You talked about intelligence gathering, which I've always asked questions. How much of a problem do we have when it comes to the issue of intelligence gathering? We have a national security advisor. The Office of National Security Advisor being headed by the former chairman of the anti-graft agency FCC, Malam Ribadu, and a lot of people had asked questions that what is the relationship between all of the service chiefs and the office of the NSA? Remember, upon his appointment, there were a lot of conversation around the fact that, is he suitable enough to handle that position, to head that position? Is from the police force? What happens to army and all of that? But questions have been asked. Do we really share intelligence among all of the service chiefs that we have? We keep that to one side. But let's come back to the issue of security. I stayed in Abuja for a couple of years, about 2 years, under the administration of our former president Muhammadu Buhari, and within that period, Abuja was relatively safe. And I mean relatively safe because there were still, petty armed robberies here and there. But the issue of kidnappings that we have now, that is on such a large scale, that people report that bandits and kidnappers will come into an estate with a list that has the names of the people they are coming to kidnap. So they come into an estate and they ask, where is the house of so and so person? And then they go pick up that person. Abuja is supposed to be the seat of power. Abuja is supposed to be where the Nigerian president's agencies that we have, and almost on daily basis, there are cases of kidnapping. Mr. Muwademi, if Abuja is not safe, if Ebonyi is not safe, if Tunawada in Kano is not safe, if Ijesha in Ekiti is not safe, if Osogbo is not safe, if Lagos that we thought was relatively safe is no longer looking safe, how did we miss that line between securing the lives of the people and removing poverty from the conversation?
I think let's start with the National Security Advisor, Ribadu, that was appointed. When Ribadu was appointed, I think some of us were not that comfortable. Because I think, yes, it might not be the first time a police officer was appointed, I think, to be the National Security Advisor. I think Gambo, Jimeta, wherever, I don't know. I think one of these police officers was initially appointed. But if you look at the trend has always been that at the most times it's a retired soldier, right? Maybe to the point of being a general and kind of thing that has always been the National Security Advisor. Then people begin to ask, if you look at the hierarchy of the police, will you see, I think at the level Ribadu retired from the police force. It was not IG, right? By the time he retired. So I think will he have the much of the audacity or the kind of a will at least to really interact very well without being intimidated, without, I think there's areas that fear will catch you, as some people will say. At least talk to generals. That's the time I'm saying. So, but what we have seen now, I think whether we yes, because I think that in the convention or in the kind of a culture we have here, I think you know what soldiers used to call police. Most of them they call them pregnant women, right? I think if you look at even at local level, so is whether Ribadu is cooperating very well, or is talking to them very well, or there's a synergy between his office and that of the service chiefs is another thing. But what is obvious that Nigeria can see is that there's a serious gap, there's a serious crisis, there's a serious problem in that area that we begin to imagine is Ribadu actually fit and qualified for the assignment. Because if the national security advisor, you react on information. Is he getting the information to advise the president rightly? If he's getting the information rightly, this issue will not continue. So I begin to imagine and begin to doubt the competence of Ribadu, I think, to continue occupying that office. Number one. Number two is that, something about crime is that if a group has been at least committing a particular kind of crime for some days, they are escaping with it 4 or 5 times. No, they are escaping. So they are encouraging others. You understand that? Well, if you have been doing it for the past 5, 6, you've had more than 10 operations,
and we've not been caught.
So what the hell you are talking about? Most of and nobody is safe. Really near us in Lagos. So if they advance, and a lot of in performing, they are thing with the family dream. All these people, all these they are the people living in that area. They discuss it. They know it. See us to any amount. And Nigerian, also that's why they continue to beat Nigerian security officers to it. And 10-15 years ago, you are joking. Things have changed.